Welcome back. Have you ever taken a trip that changed the way you see yourself? A few years ago, I packed my bags and booked a flight to Northern California to go on my first ever solo trip. And what I brought back wasn't just a bunch of images, it was a story of personal growth and self-discovery that I'm really proud of. I chose Northern California, specifically San Francisco and the Redwoods National Park, because I really love the images of hippies in the 60s kind of living in this city and then escaping up into the woods among these giant, massive trees and this beautiful nature. As a kid that grew up on the East Coast in the suburbs, the West Coast held this sort of mythology in the images that I saw with it. And so I wanted to go see what was up. I had never truly traveled before this. Never been on a plane, never rented a car, and never just found myself somewhere new on my own. You know, I wasn't just exploring, I was challenging myself. I was learning to be comfortable on my own and in a way prove to myself that I could do something like this. I spent 7 days in San Francisco and 6 days up in Eureka, hiking in the Redwoods, specifically the lower Redwoods, like Prairie Creek area. I'm a photographer. That's what I went to college for. That's what I love to do. And so obviously I wanted to document this experience while I was out there. I always carry a camera, so like taking pictures was a no-brainer for me, but I also wanted to do something a little bit extra. I wanted to collect materials and make collages while I was out there too, because I was really into that at the time. I wanted those physical remnants to take home with me. And so I collected a lot of physical material while I was out there. I mean, maps, trash, magazines, collectibles, you name it. If I saw it and thought I could like use it or it spoke to my environment in a way, I picked it up. I wanted to create a body of work that showed the relationship between what I was physically experiencing and seeing and the mythology that I had in my head from the media that I consumed over the course of my life. Landing in San Francisco and being in a city away from New York for the first time that wasn't just like, I don't know, Florida, the vibes were completely different than what I was used to. San Francisco is a large metropolitan and kind of suburban city that just moves at a much slower pace than what it would seem like if you were like in a regular downtown area. And because I was new there, I spent most of my time just walking around. Yes, walking around San Francisco with all of their massive hills and everything. I felt like I had climbed multiple mountains by the end of that week. And I really loved hiking around Land's End and the Presidio near Golden Gate Bridge. I had never seen cliffs and caves and rock formations on the water like that before, especially not on the edge of a city. All of the textures and colors were so new. I loved it. I was fascinated by it. After my time in San Francisco was up, I packed my bags and I drove all the way up Shoreline Highway, I think it was, to Eureka, California. Now, this is normally a 5-hour drive, but it took me close to 8 hours because I kept stopping and I had never driven on like a windy cliffside highway before. There were multiple times where I thought I was gonna drive off the edge of a cliff into the water and that was gonna be it for me. Have I ever mentioned that I'm scared of heights on this channel? So yeah, that was something I had to contend with in real time while driving. And it made me really happy. I was so excited. Like, I felt like I was living out this idea in my head in real time, right? Like, especially like some of these smaller towns that look like they just were pulled straight out of a Western movie, like a Tarantino style movie, you know? Something that really struck me while I was driving up there was kind of how the landscape changed so much from turn to turn on certain parts of the highway. Like going from rolling hills, San Francisco, like Brown Hills type of landscape to ranches and valleys and like this beautiful yellow grass to like big coastal town, like big rocky cliffs, bright blue ocean, to like forest, like dense forest in some areas with giant trees with this bright red bark on them. It was mind-blowing and beautiful and like surreal to just see this landscape change in real time as I'm driving through it. I stayed in a tiny camper in Eureka, which is about an hour-ish south of the Redwoods from Prairie Creek. Pretty much every day was the same when I got there. I woke up, got my gear on, got in the car, and drove up to the Redwoods. I wanted to see as many giant trees as possible and get in as much time as I could there while I was there. I will never forget the feeling of driving onto this highway into the start of the Redwoods Park and seeing these trees for the first time. I mean, like Jesus Christ, they were giant. They were so hard to comprehend because my only frame of reference for an object that big is an apartment building. And some of these trees were bigger than apartment buildings that I've seen in New York City. The scale of them is truly difficult to comprehend and even harder to try and represent on a camera or a video or something. Like, it is just, the scale is massive and I am tiny. I think I hiked close to 10 miles a day while I was out there. And I know everyone compares it to Jurassic Park, but being in that forest with the mist and all these giant ferns on the ground, it literally felt like Jurassic Park. I mean, they probably shot it there. Whatever. My point is, it was on a scale that is really hard to comprehend, and it was breathtakingly beautiful. This was also my first time hiking alone, going into the woods by myself, and reading a paper map to figure out where I was on a trail. So a lot of firsts on this trip. I think I might have pushed it a little bit. It was truly a lot of firsts on this trip, and amazing for me to see in myself that I could handle something like this and enjoy it while I was doing it too. I felt spiritually lighter while I was out there, and I think it fueled my creativity and my self-confidence to a level that I just had not experienced before that. I not only proved that I was capable, but that I absolutely loved doing it and can't wait to go back there one day. And it's where I got this mug that you guys see me drinking out of all the time. The one that says, "Take a hike." Got it from the Redwoods Park office. Don't know if you'll be able to see that on the camera, but I love this mug. I've been sitting on these images and this story for like 3 or 4 years at this point, because I just wasn't sure the best way to do it or tell it. I think the next step is that I'm going to make a zine about this experience, just a small booklet containing the images and collages on some nice paper that I can have for myself as a record of this journey and the story, and to pass out to friends if anyone wants them. I love making zines and books. I think they are a great tool for reflection, for expressing yourself and finding meaning in life. All right, and that's the video. That is my story. If you're still watching, I would love to hear from you in the comments if you've had a similar experience of personal growth, if you've ever gone on a trip that changed your life. Let me know down below. While you guys are down there, you know the deal. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's the best way to let me know that the content that I'm putting out is resonating with you. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.